Hi, Kathleen. How have you been doing?
Hello, Denise.
Hi, Kathleen. Hi.
Finally made it. I've been so sorry to keep missing. I had a teaching schedule where my classes started at 11 o'clock Eastern time because everybody else was in California. And so I had to be working.
Well, it's good to see you again.
Well, I'm delighted to be back.
Good. Hi, Darryl.
Hi, how you doing?
Doing good. Nice to meet you.
Likewise as well. I just sent you an email. I don't know if you got it.
I got it. I think it was like half an hour ago, right?
That's right. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Whereabouts are you based?
I am based in the Netherlands.
Okay. I used to work for a Dutch organization.
Ah, really? Nice.
When I was back in the UK many moons ago.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, I am right in the center of the Netherlands, near Utrecht.
Ah, I've been there.
Good. It's a nice city.
I traveled around. I even went to a small place called Goes.
I can't imagine. I don't exactly know exactly where it is, but
Yeah.
you mean Goes? You mean Goes,
Yes,
Zeeland?
yes.
Ah, okay. I know that one. That's a nice one.
Yeah. No, I went
Denise,
traveled around quite a bit actually.
Denise,
Nice.
I'm thrilled to say I'll be visiting in early November. I know it might be rainy, but I don't care.
That's okay. Just let me know when you're here because I'd love to meet up with you.
Oh, that would be great. My son and his partner, Josh, who spoke at one of our meetings, they are actually taking me along for a 2
Oh,
weeks.
really nice.
So
Oh, it'd be
we have
great.
a
So
good
just
time.
let me know whenever you're here and I'll try and meet up with you. That'd be great.
And this time I'm planning not to get COVID in the middle of the trip.
That'd be great.
When
Yeah.
I went to Ireland in June. It worked out perfectly though. It happened in Belfast and I was in a very nice hotel room and I was supposed to go to a wedding where I didn't really want to go. So I didn't have to.
Well, that's good. Like there's this Dutch football player who once said, in Dutch, of course, every downside has its upside.
I love it. That's great. Well, I'm excited. Last time I was in Amsterdam, I still remember it, was in 1967.
Oh, wow, that's been a while.
It's been a while, and maybe a few things have changed.
Oh yes, definitely. So Darryl, are you originally from the UK?
Yes, I am. Yeah, I moved to the States here in Florida back in 2008.
Ah, okay, nice.
So 14 years, yeah.
Wow, that's really great. So which part of the UK were you from?
So I was born in Sheffield.
Ah, okay, know that.
Yeah, still city in the north, but I lived half my life in Chelmsford, a little bit closer to the Netherlands, so down just outside London.
Oh,
and
nice.
I used to commute on the train into London every day. So
that's not from Sheffield, right? Or
no, from Chelmsford.
Yeah, I was figuring because Sheffield would have been a long way, probably. Yeah,
that's true. Absolutely. Oh, no problem. Do you want to make me co-host? Is that a good thing to do?
Yes, but I think that has to be done by the host itself. I'm not the host, unfortunately. So we'll have to wait for our president to come online and he can do that.
Perfect. Very good.
Hi, Michael.
Hi. How are things in Holland? I'm sorry, Netherlands.
They're okay. They're good. I'm
Your
recovering
Dutch boy won again.
I'm sorry?
Your Dutch boy won the race again.
I know, because he's great.
He's got on a good team.
Well, I have to say I did not expect him to win the race last time. So I was really happy about it.
He's so fast. Hi, Kathleen.
Hello, how are you feeling?
I'm doing great. I played pickleball for the first time since my stroke yesterday.
Wow,
great.
That's a great sign.
Yeah, I still have some issues with the hand and arm, but I can drive, I can ride my bike.
You'll get there.
I'm lucky. I'm real lucky.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Who's the man in blue?
That's our
This
speaker.
is, yeah. Hi, Michael. How you doing?
Okay, where are you?
I'm in Florida.
Where?
I'm on the Gulf Coast, in between
Well, give me
Sarasota and Fort Myers. So Port
What
Charlotte.
town? Are you in Venice or Port Charlotte?
Port Charlotte, yeah.
Okay, I'm in Melbourne Beach.
Okay, just across the on the other coast there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say across the pond, across Lake Okeechobee.
I'm going to say that's right. I like it.
And we go to Cape Coral, we go to Port Charlotte, Venice.
Yeah, I actually live in Burnt Store. My office is here in Port Charlotte.
Where are you from?
England originally. I usually say Nebraska just to confuse people.
Well, I don't have my Man U shirt on right now. I have my Ohio State shirt on. So
Well, that's
who's
better.
your team? Who's your team?
Dear. Sheffield Wednesday.
Okay, they're down.
We
right?
used to be good.
So
no
are you
longer.
watching the Wrexham TV series?
Oh yeah,
Welcome to Wrexham?
yeah, it's very
I
good.
love it.
Yeah, it's very good. It's an interesting insight into how football works in the UK.
I watched the Sunderland series a few years ago.
Yes.
And they went down. They're in third division down.
Yeah, that's right.
Might
That's where
get
we
back
are now.
up, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that's where we are now. They beat us in the playoffs last year. So
So my three grandsons in Seattle, they have a Scottish dad. So the middle one, who's 14, I said, I have a book for you. It's called Damn United. It's not about Man United. It's about Leeds United. And a guy named Brian Clough, look him up.
Oh, of course.
I
Yeah.
said, it's back when there was no Premier League. And I said, 30 years ago. He said, no, it's farther than that. But anyway.
Yeah. He didn't last long there. I think he lasted something like 38 days.
Yeah, but didn't he win it with Nottingham or somebody like that?
Yeah, and then he went to Leeds. He was never, and they never really wanted him. I think after about 38 days, they fired him. He was just.
Well, I hated Leeds when they had Alan Smith. And then Alan Smith with the Man United, and I still hated him.
Yeah.
I don't like Roy Keane either.
No. No,
I think he's dirty. I think Scholes is dirty.
Yeah, I must admit, you're speaking my language now. This is good.
My son-in-law is a professional coach in the Seattle area.
Okay.
He runs a soccer club,
and
they're doing great.
Oh, that's great to hear.
But get this, and I'll get back into Rotary here. My oldest grandson is going to be 17, and in the spring, he's going to Scotland, and he can go to Scotland for some period of time and then qualify to go to college for almost free because his dad's Scottish.
Wow, that's great. Very good.
That's stupid to me. I ought to go to University of Washington where I'll have contacts, networking.
Yeah. Yeah. No, indeed. I think that sounds great.
He's never going to live in Scotland.
It gets a bit wet and dull and sort of down.
Dark.
Nice place.
Well, he lives in Seattle though, so it's same weather.
Yeah, actually, that's true.
I'll give you back to the club. Thank you for indulging me.
No problem. Nice to meet you.
Good morning, Darryl. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Julia. Where are you? I can see you somewhere on the. Oh, there you are.
I'm in Melbourne.
Which Melbourne?
Yeah, the other one.
Yeah, fresh from your travels to the UK.
Yeah.
Looks like you had a
Perfect
great
timing.
time.
I got out. Oh, we had a wonderful time. It was so beautiful, and the weather did not disappoint. Very unusual.
Yeah, very unusual.
Good to be home.
Just in case you may lose me halfway through, there's a massive thunderstorm here at the moment. Hopefully we'll be okay.
Jewel and I had a conversation after our meeting last week about diversity. So it's interesting that you're our speaker today, because we're both in areas where we're good with women. We do great with women. We don't do so great with people of color because we don't get exposed to them. We don't have those numbers to pull from. But it's certainly on our minds.
Absolutely. Now, I'm excited
Well,
to be able to present this to you today.
Well, it is actually after 12. I'm gonna go ahead and kick this off if that's all right. So pleased to see you all. I'm actually on the road today, so sorry if I sound a little bit off, but I'm able to connect on my wireless, which is the great thing about being in a club like this. So we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. And as we all know, you don't have any slides today to read them off, so we'll go ahead and begin with the four-way test. So if you're a Rotarian, you can unmute your mic and you can say it with me. We can kind of stay in cadence. You don't need to repeat after me, just say it with me. So of all the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth?
The truth?
Is it the truth?
Is it fair
Is it
to
fair
all
to all
concerned?
concerned?
Will it build
build
goodwill and
Build
better
goodwill and
friendships?
better friendships?
Will it be
Will it be
beneficial
Beneficial to all concerned.
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Nobody needed it written down. That's good. That's good news. Well, my name is Sam Bushman.
Sam, you're muted.
Oh, I tapped the button. Sorry about that. I'm scrolling through to see if we have any guests. I do not see any guests other than our speaker, obviously. So I will go ahead and open it up to Mr. Leff. And Ed, if I could turn it over to you, we could do our announcements, happy bucks, sad bucks, and anniversaries.
Okay, well, let's start with any birthdays or anniversaries. Are there any birthdays, anniversaries? Oh, that's quiet. All right, let's lead off with sad dollars. Is there any sad dollars? Jula?
Yeah, I definitely have a sad dollar. As y'all know, I returned from the UK last week, but my sad dollar is for Her Majesty the Queen. Just as sad, expected, but it's still sad.
Yeah. I second that. I actually shed a tear when I heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah, very sad.
Agreed. It's pretty amazing the number of decades that she had influence over so much that happened in the world.
Yeah, for sure. And the ultimate life of service. I mean, being a service organization, we understand that, but not to that degree.
Right? Yeah.
Okay, any others? Denise?
Yeah. Well, I'm sad. I have a bad cold, and I've been coughing my lungs out. So I'll be muted most of the time. So you won't hear me. You won't hear me bark like a seal.
Well, we hope you feel better. Any others? Okay, well, let's move on to happy dollars. Are there any happy dollars?
I have
Michael?
one.
All right, Jen, ladies first.
Oh. Oh,
Go ahead, Michael.
no, you're up. Your horse must have won.
No, my friend's daughter had a second birthday because she received a bone marrow transfer last week,
Oh.
and it went well. She has a rare genetic disorder that will ultimately kill her because there's no cure. But the bone marrow transfer, the hope is that it will prolong her life. So she had that last week, and it went well. And I'm actually up here in Jacksonville helping out, so that way my friend's daughter doesn't have to be alone because she's been nonverbal. The disorder has kind of made her mostly nonverbal, so she just wants to have someone with her all the time to help her communicate. So I'm just really happy that it went well, and she has a long road. She'll be up here for 3 months in Jacksonville and in the hospital for a month. But the good news is that things are going really well so far. So it's crazy. I also did not know that when you do a bone marrow transfer, they did chemo and radiation on her first and then even after, so that way her body will accept it. The goal is to basically weaken her immune system, and so that way she'll accept these new cells. So I've learned a lot through this. But it's been a good happy dollar.
Well, that's wow, that's tough, and but at the same time, that's good to hear. So
Yeah, it's crazy, but yeah, I'm happy that it's going well. Her body has not rejected the cells yet, but they did say it's going to be really hard the next few days. So, but it's good.
I was going to say, fingers crossed. Denise, you beat me to it. Oh. All right,
Thank you all.
Michael.
Hi, I have two happy dollars, a lot lighter note. First, I was able to play pickleball yesterday for the first time since my stroke in July. And my timing was off, and I had trouble picking up the ball coming toward me, and so that'll get better. The second happy dollar, in honor of Roy Cloudsdale, who is a Chelsea fan, and Darryl, who's a Sheffield Wednesday fan. Ted Lasso won 2 Emmys last night for Best Comedy and Best Actor. It's on Apple TV Plus. It's really good. And on FX is another good soccer program called Welcome to Wrexham. It's about this Hollywood actor named Ryan Reynolds, who he and another guy bought a 5th level team, which is just about semi-pro, like Class D ball here in the US. And they're trying to make a go of it, and it's a funny series. So those are my 2 happy dollars.
I will look out for that.
Connie.
Hi, I have a happy dollar, and I was honored to be with Rockledge Rotary on Saturday. The city of Rockledge hosted their remembrance of 9/11. And so with that, we were volunteering as far as giving out flags, waters, and all of that to everybody else. So I was just very honored and privileged to be with them and to also be there as a representative of the Eco-Friendly Club. And it was an amazing experience. And for those of you who are local, if you go over to Rockledge to their city center, they do have a piece of, I guess, iron that came from one of the Twin Towers on display. I guess they've had it for a while, but it's been at their fire department. So they were able to bring it over to City Hall to where more people can enjoy it.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. George?
Yeah, hi. I have a happy dollar. I saw my son on national TV Sunday. He was at the Miami Dolphin game in Miami, and they asked him when he came in the gate, he's got season tickets. They asked him if he would flitter the flag when in the opening ceremony. And there he was. I saw him, and I said, "That's my son." Yeah, I didn't go to the game. I have a hard time climbing up steps anymore. But it was awesome. When he got home, I said, "I saw you." And he goes, "Yeah, they asked me if I would do it." And I said, "Sure, sir." That's great. I couldn't believe it. I saved it for him. I record everything now. But anyway, happy dollar for that.
And I guess the Dolphins won too, didn't they?
What's that?
Didn't the Dolphins win also?
Oh, of course, absolutely.
Of course.
Yeah. They're gonna have a good season, I'm sure. I hope. I'm going to the Buffalo game. I'm gonna try and get in there, and I'm in a walker, so steps are gonna be a bear. He's about 12. He's got his season tickets are 12 rows up from in the end zone, but we'll see what happens. I don't know, but that's what the Buffalo game. That's in 2 weeks. in Miami. Yeah.
So that should be a fun game.
Yeah.
All right, anybody else? All right, well, that's all right, Sam, I'll turn it back over to you then.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. Thank you so much for everybody's happiness there. And I will turn over to Jula to introduce our guest speakers for the day. And I'm going to mute my video because I don't want to be wiggling around while I'm watching here. But Jula, if you want to go ahead and do the introduction, I'll appreciate that.
Awesome. Thank you, President Sam. I am actually honored and privileged to introduce this person who I consider a very good friend of mine. Darryl joined the Rotary Club of Charlotte Harbor in 2010 and graduated through Rotary Leadership Institute in 2012. Before serving as club president in 2014, the club formed a satellite, subsequently chartered in 2019 as Charlotte Harbor Sunset Club. And Darryl moved to the club to offer support and help to many new Rotarians. In addition to perfect attendance, he received recognition as Rotarian of the Year, both at club and district levels, and is a multiple Paul Harris Fellow, a benefactor, a member of the Paul Harris Society and the Quest Society. At district level, Darryl has served in several roles, including area governor, membership chair, RLI discussion leader, and of course, as a district governor. Before moving to the US, he worked as a director of a London-based investment bank. And in addition to his day job, he acted as president of the Executives Association of Great Britain. Today, he is president and co-founder of Zypher Corporation, providing complete advances business IT service, eliminating the need for on-site computer services. He has 3 daughters, 2 sons, 6 grandchildren, all living overseas, and Samantha, his wife, has to suffer with him as he follows his soccer and baseball teams. Please welcome this great person, past district governor, Darryl Keys. All yours, Darryl.
Well, thank you, Jula, for that very sort of kind welcome. And absolutely, we're great friends, and it's really nice to be speaking with you all today. And the subject matter that I was asked to talk about was diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm going to try and share my screen with you. Hopefully this will work. So can everyone see that screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's absolutely perfect. Okay, so diversity, equity, and inclusion. Obviously, I've just been introduced, so I'll skip over that particular slide. But I want to go back in history and talk about diversity in the context of how Paul Harris perceived it way back in 1905 when he founded Rotary. So I want to have a chat with Paul, and I want to just ask him, what was the thinking behind establishing Rotary from a diversity perspective right from the outset?
The postulate that all men had been created free and equal had so natural a part in the thinking of the first Rotarians that it was accepted without discussion. Protestant, Catholic, and Jew, American, German, Swede, Irishman, and whatnot mingled together in happy accord. They had embarked upon a glorious adventure. Who would be interested in a garden containing flowers of one species or one color only? Variety has been truly said to be the spice of life. Sameness is monotonous, depressing. Rotary brings men differing in social status, religious beliefs, and nationality together in order that they may be more intelligible to each other and, therefore, more sympathetic and friendly.
So you could see that very much part of the core thinking of Paul Harris when he founded Rotary was this diversity aspect, to actually welcome people from different backgrounds and different nationalities, different religions, different social status, to actually come together, obviously, to further the good of Rotary. So it was really interesting looking back at this and realizing that diversity, equity, and inclusion is not new, as we Obviously, it's now in the forefront, but this was really part of the historic thinking of Paul Harris all those years ago. Now, obviously, we can't look at diversity, equity, and inclusion without looking at the history of women in Rotary, and this is really important. And the first year to look at is 1964. Now, bear in mind we were founded in 1905, but it took until 1964 for a club to really have the sort of audacity, I guess, in those times, to propose an enactment for women to join Rotary. And that was actually from a club in Ceylon, which is obviously now Sri Lanka. And then in 1972, that was the first time a US Rotary club proposed to admit women into Rotary, and they were persuaded to withdraw that proposal. 1977, a really pivotal year. And there were three separate proposals in 1977. The first one was from the Rotary Club of Duarte in California, and they wanted to admit women. And it was obviously refused, but what Duarte did, they admitted women members, which was in violation of the Rotary International and club constitutions. But they just said, you know, we're going to go forward with this, come what may, we're not going to listen to you. And as a result of that, surprisingly, or unsurprisingly, whichever way you look at it, that club's membership was actually terminated. The charter was pulled by Rotary International in March 1978. But Duarte Club just continued. They said, you know, we're going to take this to the courts. And in 1978, as I said, this charter was pulled, but they just continued and with women members. And then by 1983, they got their act together legally, and they actually filed a lawsuit against Rotary International, and that was 1983. In 1987, it ended up with the Supreme Court and their ruling that women members, that Rotary could not exclude women in membership. And of course, Rotary International only has its rule changes every 3 years in the Council on Legislation. And after the Supreme Court ruling, it was 1989 was the next council when Rotary actually changed its rules. And obviously women were admitted into Rotary. So let's have a look at where we are today with how we've progressed from that time. And you can see a map of the world here, and you can see the different percentages. Overall, in Rotary, the 29% of all members are female, and 85% of the clubs that Rotary has, 36,000 clubs, also have female members. And if we look at geographically, there are some various differences here. So you can look at North America, for example, 28%, South America, 31%, and Africa with 34% leading the way. But then you look at three pockets. You've got Japan with 7% of female members, India with 13%, and Western Europe with 19%. So although we're making progress with women in Rotary, and we've just obviously got our first female international president, Jennifer Jones, we've still got more work to do in this respect. And it's a great opportunity for us in terms of membership. So let's have a look at women in Rotary leadership in terms of the power base that women have got in clubs. And here we look at the difference that we've made, the strides that we've made actually, which is very, very favorable between 2019 and 2020-21. So if we look at club presidents, females have increased from 22% up to 26%. District governors from 18% to 22%. Regional leaders from 20% to 22%. And this is where Rotary International are really showing the way for all the districts and zones. Because what Rotary International have done, they've led by example. So in 2019, we had 24% of the Rotary International directors were female. In 2021, that had increased to 47%. So almost on parity as such as well. And obviously there were no, in 2021, no Rotary International president had ever been female, but even that's now changed. And more recently, we selected another female to be Rotary International president nominee, Stephanie Urchik, who's actually from our zone. She's from zone 33. So that's a great thing for this part of the world here in North America. So Rotary has a very strong position, which has really solidified over the past 2 or 3 years. And they've got a real commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion as an organization. And diversity, equity, and inclusion is a priority for every Rotary member. It's a responsibility for each and every one of us. Now, there is a statement, which is probably the most powerful statement I've seen by any organization in respect of diversity, equity, and inclusion. When you break that statement down, you can see that the first paragraph is all about diversity. I'm not going to read it. This is on rotary.org. You can see this. The second paragraph clearly is all about equity. And the third paragraph is all about inclusion. And I think suffice to say, what's really sort of important about this, some people feel this is a little bit of a threat. And we've had various Rotarians in different parts of the world make it very clear what their position is when it comes to making improvements in this area. And we did our Infinite Possibilities series 2 years ago. And whilst most people were very favorable about it, some people push back, and that's fine. And we'll move on to that a little later. But the one thing I will say, if you look at this statement, is that's really clear. When you look at what's actually in these words, this is what Rotary has been all about all the time. This is nothing new. We've always sort of celebrated contributions of people from all backgrounds and ethnicities and cultures. That is what Rotary stands for. So there's nothing challenging in that particular statement. And then when you look at the second statement, once again, this is what Rotary has always done. It's always tried to give resources to people to make things happen. Once again, irrespective of background. And so this is not a threat again. And then obviously inclusion. I mean, we believe that all people hold visible and invisible qualities, and we want an inclusive culture. Well, that's been Rotary for ever since its formation. So when people start to say, well, perhaps we're going in the wrong direction here, well, actually we're not. These statements are just reaffirming Rotary's long-standing position. So what I'd like to do now is actually explain what DEI is, because there's a lot of misinformation out there and a lot of misunderstanding. So if we break it down into a simple basis, diversity asks who is in the room. Equity asks who is trying to get in the room but can't. And inclusion asks, has everyone's ideas and views been given a platform, and have they been heard? Have they been listened to, at least? So let's go into a little more detail. So if I look at diversity, and this is something I found on Google, but I just think it sums it up perfectly. And it's different individuals valuing and accepting each other, regardless of skin color, gender, intellect, talent, or years. That's just a great summary of diversity. And once again, a great human quality to accept other human beings from that perspective. What is equity? And this is really, this is where most pushback comes, because people feel this is an economic disadvantage to them. And we'll talk about that in a second. So if you look at the first picture there, which is equality, and everybody there has got exactly the same resources. And you can see that the father, the mother, and the child are trying to watch a football game or a soccer game. They've each got one box, and there's a fence which is preventing them, and certainly the child, from actually seeing the game. So fine, everybody's got equal resources, but one person can't see the game. If you look at equity, that's actually addressed. So what equity does, it gives everybody the resources they need to be able to be successful. In this connection, this is to be successful, it means that all three of them can see the game. Now, of course, what's happened is the father has given away his box. The child's now got two boxes to stand on, and obviously can see the game. But the father's not disadvantaged by giving away that box. He can still see the game just as he could before. So equity is all about giving people the resources they need to be successful. And then in the third one, we've got justice. And what we're doing, we're taking away that barrier, that fixed barrier. And now, even though it's a chain link fence, the fixed barrier is being moved away. Nobody needs any resources at all, because the real cause of that inequity has been addressed, i.e. taking away the fixed fence. So looking at equity even more, and this is, once again, a really profound statement. Fair isn't everybody getting the same thing, but fair is everybody getting what they need in order to be successful. Now, if we translate that to our communities, if everybody gets what they need to be successful, so everyone's successful, does that not create better communities for all of us? Yeah, so why are people pushing back on equity and misunderstanding what it's all about? This isn't you giving something away that you really need. This is you providing resources to people who need them to be more successful. And it's not like a piece of pie. If you've got a piece of pie and you've got 8 pieces, if you eat one, there's 7 pieces left. It's not like a piece of pie. Equal rights for others does not mean less rights for you. You know, that's a really important statement. Equal rights for others does not mean less rights for you. So equity is not this threat that a lot of people seem to perceive it to be. It's not a piece of pie. So let's look at inclusion. So if you look at diversity alone, well, that's not enough, because diversity is like being invited to a party, but inclusion is being asked to dance when you're at the party. You know, this is something extra over and above. Rotary International has got, once again, very interesting policies in this respect. If you go to the Code of Policies, Article 4 actually covers diversified membership, and I've just shown you what it's all about there. So in Article 4.010, diversified membership, it's very simple. A club's membership should be fully reflective of the community it serves. And then it just explains it a little bit, and it says it recognizes the value of diversity within individual clubs, and obviously encourages under existing membership rooms to endeavor to reflect that community with regard to professional and business classification, gender, age, religion, and ethnicity. Once again, why are we stronger clubs? Because we reflect our community. Instead of leaving parts of the community out, I would profess that we are much stronger by being diversified and reflecting our communities. So if you look at Rotary's strategic plan, you know, how does diversity, equity, and inclusion fit in? Well, one aspect of this strategic plan is to increase our impact. There is no doubt that if we embraced different parts of our community and reflected our community in our clubs, there is no doubt we could increase our impact. Simply because we've got more of an understanding of our community, more involvement, more engagement, and we can do projects which have sort of greater reach to the whole community rather than subsets of it. So the second aspect of our strategic plan is to expand our reach. Well, if we're reaching out to subsections of our community that were never involved in our clubs before, then of course, naturally we're expanding our reach. And so this is highly consistent with Rotary's strategic plan. The third aspect is to enhance participant engagement. So when we bring in a representation of our community, a broader representation of our community, we've got more participation by a wider section of the community, and that is going to engage people more because now they're seeing the impact that's being made, which was never the case before. So it's a very strong proponent of Rotary's strategic plan. And then lastly, and this is a great strategic plan, very simple, very easy to understand, and I think you know, very powerful as a strategic plan that we can all understand. And that is increasing our ability to adapt. So merely by engaging with a broader membership from our community, we're showing that we're willing to adapt. And also by reaching out to parts of our community in terms of service projects, we're also doing more than we've done so far. So that also increases our ability to adapt also. So what are the benefits of diversity? Well, I guess they're pretty logical, really. Firstly, we see different perspectives. We've got more people involved from a wider variety of people in the community. And obviously that means more innovation, more ideas, more thinking. We get a broader understanding of the community in which we operate. We understand its problems more, its opportunities more, and that gives us more credibility with the community as a whole. It brings a broader and more diverse catalogue of skills and talents. Obviously, by expanding into a broader membership base, we're going to attract different skill sets, different talents, different perspectives. And that can only be a good thing for the strength and longevity of our clubs. And then, of course, because we've got more members and we're reaching out to more of the community, and this is a bingo slam dunk, you know, we've got a greater capacity to serve our community much more effectively than just what we've been doing traditionally. So diversity is not a threat. It really is a challenge. It's an opportunity. It's a membership opportunity, and it's also an ability to be able to do more good in our communities around the world. So people say, well, how do we diversify? Well, there are different ways to do it. And these are just graphical examples of what we can do. So the first one in the top left there is obviously gender diversity, male, female. But then we can actually be quite creative. It's true that in every community we have different people who may be sort of banded together in a group. So let's say, for example, take the less abled people, you know, people with disabilities. How many clubs have you ever been to where somebody is in that club who's in a wheelchair? I have to say, and be honest about it, it's only happened to me twice. But all our communities have people who are disabled, and we also have disabled organizations representing them. So why don't we reach out to them and see if we can actually involve them? These people are very capable, but I think vastly invested in and underrepresented in our Rotary clubs. And then, of course, we've got the one which people automatically defer to when they think of diversity, and that is ethnicity. Once again, there are statistics out there which show what the percentage of the ethnic population is in each community. Rotary is challenging us to be representative of our communities. So if we, for example, have got 10% African Americans in our community, then why isn't our club reflecting that? And this is reaching out and not just tokenism, bringing them in and saying, oh, now we checked the box because we represent our community. No, this is going a step further than that. This is actually inviting them in to be an integral part of what the Rotary Club is all about, and trying to find solutions to the specific problems that that subsection of the community is actually facing. You know, so it's not just a token, let's bring somebody in to check a box. It's much more than that. If we move off to the top right there, of course, we have other sections of our society which offer immense opportunity for us. And that is obviously, in this case, veterans. There's a huge community of veterans in everywhere we go. And you know, they're used to service. We should reach out to them. There are many successful clubs who have become veterans only clubs, for example, specializing just in that area. And also clubs have embraced veterans within their own club structures. And you know, these organizations should be nurtured and cherished. If we go down to the bottom there, then we've got vocational, a long-standing one for Rotary, vocational diversity through the classification system. And you know, one of the things you may want to consider is trying to find out where there are gaps in that vocational mix. You know, can we actually identify somebody who would actually make our club more diverse from a vocational perspective? And of course, that may even help us be more successful and effective in doing service projects. The center one there with the heart, obviously now this is a controversial topic in some eyes, but this is the LGBTQ opportunity. We have to accept that in our communities, this community exists. And the way I've looked at this is, if people have a good heart, they can live by the four-way test, and they're willing to serve. Does it matter? We're human beings at the end of the day. And then the final one is age diversity. And there's room for everybody in Rotary, whether it's older people or younger people. And of course, we try to get younger people, but let's reach out to everybody to represent what our community truly is. Now, there are some tools at Rotary.org which can help you in diversifying your club. And there's something called the Member Diversity Worksheet. You can go to Rotary.org, you can download that document, and it's a really simple questionnaire. And really what it's looking at are several different factors. And this is really a step-by-step plan. So it really is encouraging to explore the barriers that you've got within your existing membership and your existing club. It challenges mindsets in a constructive way, not a destructive way, in a constructive way. And we'll talk about that in a little while. Very important to discuss the benefits of diversity, because once people start to take down that barrier and realize there are some real benefits to diversifying, then it becomes much easier to do so. You get a buy-in from everybody because they see the benefits. And of course, through any plan, there's action points from it, which emanate from it. Now, we've all been in clubs and different situations, workplaces, where we've got a toxic culture. Whether it's gossip or offensive jokes or microaggressions, the key here is this actually drives people away. I've been in clubs I've been involved with, and I know of clubs when I was governor, people got driven away from clubs because of these kind of things. And Rotary doesn't stand for any of these. We are people of action. We try to make a difference in people's lives. We're positive people. We live by morals and ethics. We all know this. I don't have to tell you this. But really, these tend to nurture more where there are no clear policies in place for these things. And there's also a lack of transparency. And so I would suggest that policies should be put in place that are agreed by all club members as to what is acceptable and what's not acceptable. And these things will just literally go away over time. Now, I mentioned about infinite possibilities, and I mentioned we had some pushback. And I won't read these, but there are 3 quotes there that came in emails to us where we got pushback about diversity, equity, and inclusion. And some people felt it was going to destroy Rotary. They obviously saw it as a threat. And it was interesting because I got about 40 of these, and I couldn't get back to all 40. And initially, we started to reply by email. And all it did was get a more of a volley of emails, sort of just trying to get deeper into the argument. So what I did, I actually just chose 3 of them, and I made phone calls to them. And it was really interesting on the phone call. They saw it as a threat because they thought it was political. And when I reassured them, the drive for this is not political. The drive for this is for clubs to represent the communities as they are, and also to do the good that Rotary does. And that we're embracing people who may look different than us, but still have a heart, want to serve and want to live by the 4-way test. And so we can do better service to our communities. And it's very interesting how that suddenly broke it down a little bit. So really what I'd profess here is when you come across some toxic culture or somebody who is sort of opposing this, it's really important not to get aggressive or angry with them, because that will make them dig the heels in more. It's very important to have a conversation, just like I did on the phone, and just said, okay, what are your issues about this? What do you fear? And a lot of it's just misunderstanding. They just misinterpret what it means. And just by talking to them, we can bring them further along the path. Now, I talk about this path. And we have to appreciate that we're all on different parts of this path, and we should respect that. Even nations, certain cultures and certain nations are right at the very start of this path and are grappling with it and finding it very difficult. Whereas you take the United States, and we're up in the mountains on this path because we have a very sort of generally an open culture to this. But every individual is different too. You look at, and this is all about generations. It's what generations have been used to. And so once again, we have to appreciate and respect the fact that somebody might just be at the start of this path. And bear in mind, if I turn the clock back 20 years ago or 25 years ago, I was at the start of this path too. I felt uncomfortable about some of these issues. So we shouldn't be lambasting people who feel uncomfortable. We should be having a discussion with them to make them feel more comfortable about it and understand the benefits and understand it's not a threat. But 20 years ago, I was at the start of this path. Obviously now, over time, we've moved down it. So this is an evolution. There's no quick solution overnight that everybody you click your fingers and everybody's right at the end of this path. It's going to be different for every individual, every community, every nation, and every culture. And we just have to keep encouraging it in that respect.
I want to say something to everyone in a spirit of humility. a spirit of meekness, and a spirit of love. There's chaos and calamity in the world, and there's so much hurt and distrust. And I have a lot of friends of many different shades and colors that I've walked our life with, great men and women in the community. And to all of us, I do not like that the world is controlling the narrative. It should be us controlling the narrative. Whether it's bad police or bad politicians, we have the spirit of redemption when we speak. When we say something, we want to bring it together, not separate it. When police are killed, we need to say something. When black boys are killed, we need to say something. And when we don't say something, we're saying something.
And that's really a very powerful video. And I'm grateful for District 6950 for allowing us to use that video, which we found and we thought it was just really sort of fitted very well with this narrative. Now, let's look at Rotary International's position. You know, we've talked about some people having some issues with this, but when you consider Rotary International, we've been an organization which has embraced this for a long time. And you know, we've done service projects internationally, and we've worked together with different cultures and created such a difference. So Rotary International is probably one of the organizations at the forefront of showing how this can work. And just in finishing now, I'd just like to, I think this is a very profound statement and really sums it up. And it says, when I see you through my eyes, I think that we are different. But when I see you through my heart, I know we are the same. So I appreciate you listening to this. And I'm very, very happy to answer any questions or have a discussion about this. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Darryl. That was very, very fascinating. I know I was glued to my screen, so thank you.
Pleasure.
Unfortunately, our president had to drop off, but he wanted me to pass along his sincerest thanks, and he wanted you to also know that we would like to post this talk on YouTube if it's okay with you, so we can hopefully reach more people with this message.
Absolutely, no problem.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So, are there any questions for Darryl?
Sure, there must be.
Go, yeah. Well, just pipe up and go ahead, please. Jula?
Darryl, are you finding that there's a religious undertone to the objection to LGBTQ?
Yeah, people,
because we're a non-religious organization, supposedly.
Yeah, I mean, clearly people have their sort of long-held views, be that religious, political, cultural, all different kind of views. The one thing which I think I really feel very strongly about, one of Rotary's real qualities, is Rotary actually says, leave all those outside the door. Yeah, when we come inside, we're there for fellowship and to see how we can help. And that help is not political, religious, cultural. It's just purely from the heart, because we give service as Rotarians. And I think that's fantastic, where Rotary basically says, leave all these things outside the door. When you walk through that door, or you come into this Zoom, We're all one and the same. We don't know each other's backgrounds necessarily, or what religion we may want to preach, or whether, what political party even now, none of us know what political party we support, because we leave that outside the door of Rotary. And I would continue to encourage that, because that, I think, is really our strength.
But something I tried to do the second time I was president of my old club is I did away with the invocation, because many times it was in Christ's name who died for our sins. We don't know who likes Christ or who likes Allah or who doesn't like anybody. And it was so difficult. So what I did was I went to a moment of silence. And I said, if you want to pray, pray, or whatever you want to do, meditate. And the person who followed me continued that policy. And then the person who followed them did away with it, and then went back to invocations again. And I always thought that was so insensitive to other people of faith or non-faith, when you shove your religion and then it turns out it affects your politics too. And politics ended up infecting our old club, where many of us feel it destroyed it. But
yeah, I mean, you raise a really good point. So in my first club, we lost 2 members because they were Indian background, and we continued in our club to do the invocation on the basis that you outlined. And they were very lovely people, very peaceful people, and they just said, could we just make this more inclusive? And the club refused to do so. And of course, we lost those 2 members. Now, what's the point of that? As you say, let's be respectful of everybody. And I know in a lot of clubs in our district now, we're encouraging them to say, in whoever's name we pray. So we've been inclusive that way. So there is an invocation which is sort of very moderate in that sense, but it says, but we finish by saying, in whoever's name we pray. And that's another way of doing it. But the way you described also is great and definitely workable. And you raise a really good point.
What if you don't pray?
Well, absolutely. Absolutely. So the reflection, moments of reflection, a period of reflection, perfect too. Yeah, I think we have to be mindful of being inclusive and not sort of doing something within the club which makes people feel uncomfortable. We're a club of members, and every member counts the same as every other member.
Ailish.
Yes. Can you hear me? Am I on? Have I on? Okay, I'm all right. Let me unplug this. Can you actually hear me any better now?
Can hear you very well.
Is that okay? Thank you so much. I'm Irish, by the way. I couldn't be from Alabama with my accent. Well, honey, I could try, but I probably wouldn't succeed very well. But anyway, that was a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful talk. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And it was very reminiscent to me, because I grew up through what was euphemistically known as the Troubles in Ireland. And it was awful. And I have to say that I, at this point in time, that I had such incredible admiration for Her Majesty the Queen when she came to Ireland in 2011. She did things that no one ever believed she would do, brought people together and continued to do so, and had done so before. And that today the King was in Northern Ireland, and he it's very inspiring. But at the time, when 2014, somebody reminded me of when the Queen went to Cork in Ireland. She visited a farm, it was a market for food, and there was a fishmonger there, and he was from Cork, and he passed some terribly witty remark to the Queen when she was passing by. She shook hands with him, and he made some quip, and it was hysterical. And you knew to look at her, she had this big smile on her face, and she had to put her head down because she couldn't stop giggling. Like she almost lost it with what this guy said. And I was reminded of that. So I wrote a poem about it. So I just put the poem up here in the chat. because it reminded me so much of bringing people together and people coming together and having that wonderful sense of equality and inclusion and camaraderie. And you know, at Rotary is all about fellowship, that we see our fellow human beings as such. But thank you for that wonderful, wonderful talk. It was really outstanding and very inspirational. So thank you.
No, thank you. And thank you for your comments. You know, I think you made some really great points there. And you know, it is all about just getting on together and bringing those barriers down and forgetting those differences. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. You know, we all bleed the same blood. And for me, I just don't understand why people want to make these differences and highlight them. And that's why I love Rotary for. As I said before, we leave everything outside that door.
Yes, as we should. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Hi, it's Heidi. Can you
Hi,
hear
Heidi.
me okay?
Yes, we
I'm
do.
mobile
Yes, we can,
today.
Heidi.
Hey, I was first wondering if you could send that quote along so that we could share it with whoever might want it, i.e. me. The last quote that you said about the heart. And yeah, that's one of the reasons I've always loved Rotary is its inclusiveness. And I think the more we can spread the word that we do leave stuff outside the door, that it's multicultural and, you know, it crosses all kinds of boundaries. I think that's really important. And if we don't get the word out, we probably are self-limiting. And it's always been about the heart, right? So I really enjoyed that talk, and I really enjoyed the speech, because at the end of the day, we're looking for people who love people, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So thank you. Thank you so much.
I mean, when you think about it, there's a diverse membership in this e-club, and you know, I applaud you for that. It is fantastic. And I guess if each one of us, thought about our Rotary experience, because of Rotary, we've got friends all over the world with different backgrounds, different cultures, from different countries. Every single one of us on this Zoom right now could point to these people who are different than we are. And once again, that's just the beauty of Rotary.
I know we're getting short on time too. I will just share in my previous club that one of the most special things I've ever encountered is we had two Indian fellows. One was a dentist, one was a doctor, and they would sing happy birthday for, however many bucks it took from the club. But everybody enjoyed it, and it was always such a celebration. And we didn't understand a word that was in that song. But everybody wanted to hear it, and it was joyous, and it was just awesome, So one of my memories.
And one thing you mentioned about getting the last slide, I'm very happy to send the whole presentation to Denise. You guys can obviously use whichever parts you want to. The more we spread this message and this presentation to other people, I just think we're going to be better off for it. So, please use any slide you want and any aspect of it.
Darryl, if I could say, please, that we do send a link to everyone on our weekly newsletter of the presentation, and we also do a synopsis of it, so that everyone can have access to everything that you said, to every word, and next week when they get the newsletter.
That's great. That's great. That's fantastic.
And I, for one, am going to listen to it again and again. There's so much in it. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to make a quick comment if I can. First of all, thank you, Darryl. As you know, you're a good friend of mine. I've actually heard this before. Mike mentioned earlier that last week him and I had a conversation after the call about this topic, basically. But you opened my eyes today, because even though I've seen this a couple of times, seeing the ways of diversity, somehow I've missed like the handicap piece or, little pieces that you mentioned. So I just want to bring that up to thank you, because that is an area where we can improve. So watching it a couple of times is definitely beneficial to all of us. So thank you again.
No, thank you. And you mentioned about the disabled people. An e-club lends itself very much to that diverse community, and should absolutely be embraced and welcomed. And I'm sure you will.
Exactly my thought.
Yeah.
Connie, you have your hand raised.
You know, I do. I kind of went back and forth on this, but I attended the first 2 sessions of RLI, and of course they talk about membership, they talk about diversity and everything else, and I heard the issues that they're having with how they portray their club, which, you know, of course we all know national anthem, prayer, Pledge of Allegiance. But what they found, I guess, unique with us is that we don't have that, because we are from all over. And so I told them, as far as what their club was suffering, I didn't really see that with our club, because if they were to come to our club and attend our club, it's not your traditional Rotary club, I guess I would say. Or am I?
No,
Does
I
that make
think,
sense?
yeah, it absolutely does. I mean, when you look at the diversity, I think you've got somebody from Ireland, probably somebody from France, I guess. Obviously the Netherlands.
Netherlands.
Yeah, so I mean, this is so, you know, there we go. It's more diverse than most clubs. Interestingly, one thing that I'll mention is we have a club in our district, and they recognize the different backgrounds of people, and they do the 4-way test in 5 languages.
Wow.
Wow.
Very interesting.
I mean, because I know personally, I have my religion. I get that. We all have our own beliefs, but I guess in my mind frame is that my belief really doesn't have an effect on my contribution to Rotary, because it's service before self.
Yep, absolutely.
Darryl, another example, something I experienced with a previous club, a club to which I belonged for 40 years, is they would do so-called patriotic songs, but they wouldn't do "This Land Is Your Land," which is a fantastic American song, because they consider it a communist song. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But they just attached these things. So it became religion, politics, and it was a great club. And just these things get in there, they're like a cancer. And we're great in this club. Our new president is in the Netherlands. She starts next July 1. She's figuring out how to do pets from the Netherlands, but she will do it, and she'll be great. And our current president has been president-elect in Alaska and China. And well, I won't, anyway, it was just, we are diverse in our own different ways.
Absolutely.
So, but it's amazing what little things can undermine. And so far we've been pretty good. We're 2 years old on October 24th, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you guys have done a great job, and you've proven this model can work and thrive. And you know, there's a lot of hard work gone into this, but your commitment just to be here today, from all these different places, is just proves this model. You know, it's fabulous to see.
Well, thank you very much, and hopefully we can continue for many more years. All right, so we have reached the end of the meeting. So I'd like to close the meeting with our motto. And of course, we can, whoever wants to stay and chat some more, they can, but whoever wants to drop off, they can do as well. So we'll end it with service above self.
Service above self.
It's about self.
It's above self.
Okay. So I am going to drop off. Is there anybody that wants to be a host that wants to stay on and chat? Nobody? Okay, so in that case, I'm going to end the meeting. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you, Darryl.
Bye. Thank you again, Darryl.
Hi,
Thank you.
Ed.
That was fascinating.
Miss you, Ed.
Bye.
What's that?
I miss you.
Miss you
You're my
too, Mike.
neighbor. All right, bye.
I know. We'll see you soon.
You come back in September?
We leave the 30th.
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll be back. It'll take us 3 days to get back.
George, are you confined to a wheelchair? Oh, he's gone. Okay. I'll catch him. Hi,
All right,
Alana.
see you later.
Bye, Alana.
Bye. Take care.